In the space of 5 months, I mutated not just my physique, but also my mental health. I completely transformed my internal reality, which is the most important part, because ultimately that's where you spend 24 hours, 7 days a week. I went from this disgusting, greasy, saggy mess to this ripped Herculean monster, but even more importantly than that, I completely changed the way that I spoke to myself. I would look at myself in the mirror and think, what a disgusting slob. Rightfully so. Look at me. I would think that everything is impossible. It's too difficult. If I can't even make myself look presentable, how the hell am I gonna accomplish any kind of larger goal and improve the actual position of my life? I would repeat the same mantra over and over again, which was, I hate my life, no wait, I hate myself. My mind would keep me awake at night, churning out the most repulsive thoughts, calling me a completely worthless loser, utter failure, basically telling myself that I was not someone worthy of anything. Because I had such a low self-image, my social interactions suffered massively, or rather, my perception of my social interactions, which constantly fed this loop of believing that I should just stay shut in. I'm a reclusive hermit and completely socially autistic. I'm not able to hold conversations because I make myself and other people cringe. And then, obviously, when you look in the mirror and you see this sexy, ripped physique looking back at you, you start to believe that, yeah, I actually am that guy. Anything that I put my mind to and go all in on, I can achieve. It will be very difficult, but it's all possible, and I am capable of making it happen. I am worthy to accomplish my goals because I am starting to keep the promises that I make to myself. And the physical manifestation of my efforts is finally available to see. And then obviously, once you start looking at yourself and liking what you see, you start to carry that presence into your social interactions. And I started believing that, yes, my presence is valuable. Wherever I go, I can improve people's mood and leave the social interaction with both myself and them feeling more positive. And all of this created an undeniable aura where people would just give me compliments based on things I'd never heard before. Wherever I went, it actually felt like people wanted me to be around. Now, let me talk about what both of these men have in common, which is that they go to the gym and they train 6 times a week. They both do pretty much the same exercises, lifting with the same technique. Both of them go to failure, or what each individual one of them perceive as failure. Neither of them track their calories, but both of them have the exact same theoretical knowledge about training, nutrition, self-improvement, and mindset, you could say. But here is the key difference that separates both of these individuals. Number one, the gluttonous blob was focused more on the how. He had these ideas about what he wanted his life to look like, the body he wanted, the business he wanted, the lifestyle he wanted, and he was focused solely on the idea of how. He only thought about the technical details, aka the actions that he had to take to get there. And funnily enough, he didn't take any of those actions to get there. Whereas this sexy Chad, he was not focused on the how. He was focused on who do I have to become in order to make achieving my goals an inevitability. Essentially, what it all comes down to is these two gentlemen had an entirely different mindset. This man thinks, I have to go to the gym. It's a chore. This guy thinks, I get to go to the gym. It's a privilege. This guy thinks, pain is bad. The easier something is, the better. He always looks for shortcuts and tries to make it as easy as possible. Whereas this guy, he looks for long cuts because he knows that the ultimate shortcut is the long cut. And he thinks to himself, the harder it is, the better, because he is addicted to discomfort. This guy sees the gym as his prison. This guy thinks the gym is my playground. This guy looks upon a man who has a physique he desires, whether it be in real life or on the internet, and from a very low state of desire and envy, he thinks, I wish I could look like him, but I probably won't. He's probably on roids anyway, or he's got really good genetics. Whereas this Chad thinks to himself, yeah, if he can look like that, why can't I? It's only a matter of time. This guy is entirely focused on his results, which are quite atrocious. He can't help but think, man, I've been training for so long, why do I still look like garbage? But this guy, he has detached himself from the results. He still wants them, but he knows that they've already happened in the future as long as he keeps following his process. He's entirely obsessed with the journey and enjoying every single part of it. This guy trains like a completely directionless and distracted lost sheep. He comes in and he changes his decision 3 times within the course of the training session. He's staring at his phone in between sets. He's wondering what his next exercise should be because he's overthinking and stuck in analysis paralysis. But this guy is completely laser focused. He comes in, he knows exactly what he's going to do. He puts on his music and he doesn't stop and look at his phone. He just goes until the training is over. And he's very intentional. He knows exactly what he needs to do and where he's heading towards. This guy is very short-term minded. He thinks, oh, what is the one thing I can do right this second to see results yesterday? And very clearly, it's not working. This guy, he knows that the natural game is a long-term grind and he's not going to achieve his 10 out of 10 dream physique within the first month or even year or even 5 years. No, he's focused on who he's going to be in 10 years, and funnily enough, this allows him to see results a lot quicker. Cut. So we've talked about the mindset. Now let's talk about how these two men live their lives. This guy doesn't set an alarm. He wakes up when his body wants him to, and when he's already woken up, he keeps lying in bed because he's in a lot of pain. He's deeply unsatisfied with himself and his life, but at least the sheets give him some kind of comfort. He's trying to hide from his problems, like a little kid who's trying to hide from his imaginary monsters under the bed. Once this guy finally rolls out of his bed, he doesn't have a morning routine. He has no discipline throughout his day. He just drifts mindlessly, consuming entertainment and self-improvement content as he just drifts through life. This guy's alarm goes off at 4 a.m. Bang! He's already up. There is not even an option to snooze. He might feel tired. He might feel groggy. He might not want to get up, but he does it anyway because the alarm doesn't care about his feelings. This guy proceeds to do a morning routine that puts him in a higher frequency state and allows him to step into the future version of himself before he gets there. It puts him in a state where he's assaulting the day. He's not just reacting. He's very disciplined. He proceeds to spend the rest of the day following strict guidelines for what he should do and how he should act. He has a clear checklist that he must complete. This guy eats with his emotions. He tries to bury his feelings in his food, whereas this guy eats to fuel his goals. He wants to look sharp, but more importantly, feel mentally sharp for the challenges that the day has to offer. This guy is always searching for the next thing that will change everything. So he tries an extreme fad diet, like carnivore, and he gives up very quickly as soon as it gets challenging, and he goes right back to eating emotionally, just going where the wind takes him at the utter mercy of his cravings. But this guy, he knows that diet is a long-term game, so he focuses on a high testosterone way of eating that prioritizes the right micronutrients. And he slips up every now and then. He eats some junk, but he doesn't give up and go on a binge and completely destroy his self-worth. No, he gets right back on schedule immediately. This guy is always seeking comfort. He wants to run away from pain by numbing his mind with entertainment and escapism. Whereas this guy, he's actively looking for challenge. He wants to know what is the next thing that will make him uncomfortable. And when he feels pain, he allows himself to sit in it and to feel the emotions and then use them as fuel. This guy breaks every single promise that he makes to himself. He says, yes, tomorrow's the day, everything will change. I'm going to wake up and immediately get to it. I'm going to go to the gym way earlier than yesterday, and I'm going to get back and start on a deep work task that will help me build a business that will change my life. This guy doesn't negotiate. He sets a promise to himself and he keeps it, no matter how painful. So, what finally changed and allowed me to step into the identity from this disgusting blob to this sexy savage? Well, all it took was one decision after wasting months and months and months just in a state of consumption and thinking about it and imagining a better time where I was who I wanted to be. I decided enough is enough. This reality that I'm living is so painful, something has to change. So I made the choice to finally go all in, to stop worrying about how, to stop thinking about what I wanted to do with my life and the path I wanted to take, but rather going all in on becoming the guy who could make it happen. I had to drop my ego because the version of me that I was listening to got me into the situation I was in. And so to get out of that situation, I had to stop listening to that same guy. So I started to actually listen from above, not pretending to, not watching endless business gurus and self-improvement content creators and say, yeah, this bro is spitting facts, yeah, my guy knows exactly what's up, but then just not following it. No, I started to listen to a certain individual who finally shook something loose in me by shouting very aggressively, if that gives you some kind of clue. And it wasn't Andrew Tate, please. Let's make that very clear. And then, once I started listening to above, I realised this is a lifelong process. There is no quick fixes. I have to dedicate the rest of my life to self-mastery, and there will never come a point where I realise that enough is enough, I can rest easy. The first thing I had to do when I dropped my ego and started listening was to start at the beginning of the day, which was rising obscenely early. Obscenely early for me at the time was 5 a.m. Because I just couldn't comprehend getting up that early and the discomfort of rising. But after the first couple of weeks, it became just a habit, and it really started building back my self-trust, because I told myself I was going to do something difficult that made me feel disgusted at the thought of, and I did it, and I realised that it's actually not that bad. And then once you rise, you can build a bulletproof morning routine so that you can get into a high frequency flow state. Like I said before, this is so that you can begin your day not reacting but attacking. You know, there's self-improvement habits that you never do, you always procrastinate, and they don't actually manage to become a regular habit. Well, the morning routine is the perfect place in which to put them. But don't get silly with it. Morning routine doesn't have to be some 3-hour-long endeavour in which you tick off every single habit that every single guru has ever told you to do. No. It should be short and sweet, but effective. The next thing that finally helped shove the goop in my brain was to connect with my authentic inner voice. Not to keep numbing my mind and distracting myself with the advice of 1,000,001 different gurus who didn't know who I was and absolutely had no care in the world for my well-being. I cut all that off. For an entire week, I decided, there would be no Instagram scrolling, no YouTube, no podcasts. Just me and the silence and my authentic inner voice. And I won't lie to you, it was a very boring week, but a very important one, because I was having a lot of negative thoughts that I couldn't distract myself from. And what do you know, over time I started adding back all of these things. And eventually it caught up with me. But now I've cleansed myself again, and I intend to stay this way for the long term. Because even though there is points in my day where I'm like, what do I do? Because my brain automatically goes to these sources of comfort, but I have given myself permission to sit in the boredom and just connect with myself. This is the stage for deep introspection. You can get a journal and some prompts and really start to dig deep into who you are, the way you speak with yourself, and the beliefs that you have. This is also an amazing time to finally connect with God. You know, that thing you always tell yourself you're going to do, but you always find yourself in a chaotic and distracted loop. Now this is the perfect time. Moving forward, had to remind myself that growth is not linear. The good and the bad decisions compound exponentially. Meaning that it might be very slow at the start. You might make a lot of good decisions, but you might not see that much progress. But then once they keep compounding, the graph goes up and shoots up, similar to what you see now. But the problem is your bad decisions also compound exponentially, and taken very, very quickly lead your life into a downward spiral once they have accumulated for long enough. Because like I said, you're not going to see the difference immediately, but literally just 1 week of living like a degenerate again will make you feel like you've lost all progress, but even worse, because now you've lost all trust in yourself as well. And essentially, let's put it like this. 10 minus 10 equals 0. 5 minus 5 equals 0. 1 minus 1 equals 0. What does that even mean? It means that you might be able to make 10 amazing decisions, but if you make 10 awful ones, you're going to cancel it out and end up back to 0. And same as 1. You might make 1 good decision. You might wake up early. You might get out of bed and actually start your day. But then you freaking look at the most obscene thing that humanity has ever invented, porn. Bro, what was the point of waking up early? You woke up just to fiddle with your pickle. Why? Let me tell you, this is a long and hard journey. And there will be times where you fall into a little bit of a rut. You slip up and you regress. Listen, you need to learn how to catch the downfall before it happens. When you hear yourself start to cope and come up with convenient reasons as to why you should engage in the bad mindsets and behaviours, you need to catch it before it leads into a downward spiral and course correct. Because that's just the best way to do things, rather than going through these massive ups and downs, which cause a lot of pain and waste way too much emotional energy. Bro, just like slip up a little and realize, okay, yeah, I messed up. Let's get back on track. Trust me, I know how deeply painful it is to feel like everything you worked for has slipped away and now you don't even know who you are anymore. And I will not allow you to feel like that again. I hope this was helpful. Have an amazing day.